Great training, boys. Let's keep it up. Still riding this tie against AC Milan. Oh, Bassaro. Look, if you want to go, just go.
Boss, I'd like to stay here at Volsungur.
Cool. Just get to training then. Because you are more in and out than a KFC drive-thru, I swear. Right, come on, boys. Let's push. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 128 of Husavik Heroes here on Shaun Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up in today's episode we have the second leg of our first knockout round tie against AC Milan. It is our home league, very evenly poised at 2-2 off the back of the first leg in yesterday's episode, which if you did miss I'll leave a link to over in the top right corner. But if you are looking forward to today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But as you can see on screen, we are starting off today's episode with the news Bassaro Gay yet again wants to stay here at Volsungur. Of course, before we did get into that first leg in yesterday's episode against AC Milan, we did reveal that quite a few of our players were underbid from AC Milan in the January transfer window. Bassaro Gay was one of those. In the end, he actually preferred to move to Liverpool, who are in the Conference League knockouts this season. So I suppose that makes sense that he would want to stay here in the Champions League over them. But nonetheless, thankfully, he did come to his senses and decide to stay here at Volsungur instead of searching for a move for the second straight transfer window. So Bassaro Gay now has a bit higher morale than he did have in yesterday's episode, but he is getting a little bit frustrating in terms of wanting to leave us quite regularly, especially for the £13.5 million price tag that was set for him last season, because as you can see on screen, he does look like a very, very good defensive midfielder. It's going to be very, very hard to find someone the quality of him for that price should he decide to leave in one of the future transfer windows. But it has been nearly a month since we did play that first leg in yesterday's episode, picking up a good 2-2 draw coming from behind there away from home against AC Milan. Off the back of that, we have only played 2 games in the Europa Cup, but thankfully did pick up victories, and important victories too, over 2 of the stronger teams in our group there in that League Cup. 2-0 away from home against Breidablik, thanks to goals there to Arnason and Jonata, albeit Breidablik did get a red card there in the second half, and off the back of that, we did beat KA at home by 2-0. That was thanks to goals from Ognjanov and an own goal late on as well. So solid wins there against teams who are also from the top division, and that means that we have already qualified out of our group in the League Cup, trying to win that yet again. We have a very good record in that competition. 1 game left in the group stages against Fram Reykjavik, but we should absolutely be beating those guys based on our record in that competition so far. But the focus of today's episode is the first knockout round of the Champions League. We take a 2-2 draw into our home league off the back of yesterday's episode, and we have no injury concerns going into this one either. So that means on our bench we do see the return of both Chaka Traore and Fabio Mariano. Interesting, of course, Chaka Traore, because we purchased him off AC Milan back in 2027 for just shy of £1 million. So if he comes off the bench, hopefully he can try and get some revenge there against the team that did get rid of him, and he can do it in the nice green of Volsungur. But as I said, we are at full strength. It will be the exact same starting 11 from yesterday's game, but it will just be a different bench, a little bit stronger, I would like to think, and we'll come back shortly and hopefully make our way through to the quarterfinals of the Champions League for the first time, starting things off at 2-2 in the second leg here at the Laugadas Villa against AC Milan. And here are the team sheets for the second leg. As we ran through before, there is our lineup, exactly the same starting 11, but our stronger bench with the return of Traore and Mariano. There is what AC Milan looks like. I'm pretty sure that's more or less the exact same starting 11 they had in yesterday's game as well, and hopefully we can make the most of that draw we got away from home and make our way through to the Champions League quarterfinals. And we have to wait all the way up to the 41-minute mark for the first highlight of the second leg. We do have a throw-in. Thankfully, Ali Ramadan keeps us possession there just outside the box so far. Very even game. Kalen Rakasan gets a header off. It goes fairly comfortably wide. That is the only highlight we have seen so far. You can tell there by the stats, we're starting to slightly edge things in terms of shots and shots on target as well as the XG. So I suppose that's encouraging, but on the whole, that was a pretty average first half, it is fair to say, but fairly happy with the way that things are going. If we can just keep outperforming AC Milan, hopefully we get a chance and can make the most of it to make our way through to the quarterfinals for the first time. No changes at halftime as we kick off the second half. And up to the hour mark, this has still been a pretty average watch. Was hoping for a few more highlights in a game of this importance, but we do have two players out there on a 6.3, so we'll make our first few substitutions here with an hour gone. Andy Harwood to come on for Kenny Boreal, and also Nicholas Zimmerman on a 6.3 as well. So the former Milan man in Chaka Traore will come on for him, and hopefully we can get a few more highlights here inside this last half hour, as long as they're in our favour, still locked up at 2-2 on aggregate. And up to the 69-minute mark, a nice time for our second highlight of this game, the first one of this second half. We're starting to get the edge in terms of shots, a little bit more over AC Milan than it was at half-time as well, so hopefully that continues, albeit it is AC Milan with a chance here. Thankfully, Yusuf's header goes just wide of the post, still locked up here with only 20 minutes left. And we are inside the last 15 minutes of this one. As I said earlier, this has been a pretty poor watch, but we'll see if anything does happen here. Late in this one, Will Levitt comes out, and Andy Harwood, thankfully, just gets the ball there, as he did try to chip the goalkeeper, the AC Milan attacker. I'm not too sure exactly who that was. Doesn't quite make its way over the line, thankfully, and it does remain locked up here with just about 12 minutes left, and Frederick Larsson is down to a red heart. So we'll make our last change. Jonada is going to come on for him and play out on the left-hand side. Hopefully that inspires us late, still locked up with only 10 minutes or so left. And we are up to the 80-minute mark, so we're starting to get a few more highlights here late in this one, but unfortunately we do give the ball away there, and AC Milan will have yet another attacking chance. Yusuf over there for Kjaergaard. That comes off the upright. He might have been offside anyway, although the assistant referee has not put his flag up. We're getting away with some chances here in the second half, but it's still locked up with less than 10 minutes left. And at the 84-minute mark, we do have another highlight. Just change some opposition instructions there to suit what the assistant manager did suggest off the back of that most recent highlight. The AC Milan goalkeeper boots it deep, and our midfield starts to get some control here. And that's a bit of a mistake there from the AC Milan defender, and it's the former Milan man in Chaka Traore who gets that past the goalkeeper. Didn't look like the most difficult effort there to save for Manyan in goal there, so that is interesting in itself, but it's taken a long time. But who else but the former AC Milan man in Chaka Traore? I think he kind of nutmegs Fiate there in the AC Milan defence. I certainly think their goalkeeper could have tried to save that a little bit more, but we do not mind. We are one goal up here with only 5 minutes left in the second leg of this first knockout round in the Champions League. We will start to slow things down, regroup a little bit as well, just to make sure that hopefully there are no more highlights here inside these last 5 minutes, now that we have finally got a lead in this game. And based on the stats, I think that's just about fair enough that we are leading this 1-0. We have 3 minutes here of added time to get through. Can we get through it? We are really deep into this one now. It was not an entertaining game at all, unfortunately. As I said earlier, was hoping for a lot more highlights in this game than we did see, but Kalen Rakasan puts through Chaka Traore, albeit thanks to a lot of help from Fiate there in the AC Milan defence, and we grab a 1-0 win at home off the back of our 2-2 draw in yesterday's episode, and that is enough for us to go through to the quarterfinals of the Champions League for the first time. So that is very nice indeed. We'll get through this post-match stuff, see exactly how much money we are going to get for that as well, because that is of course the first time we have got past the first knockout round of the Champions League, and we are going to have a quarterfinal draw coming up soon in today's episode as well. As you can see on screen there, Chelsea have defeated Dortmund in the other tie, which was played at the same time as ours, 3-0 on aggregate. But that is very, very good signs for us here. Finally, we get past the first knockout round of the Champions League, albeit only the second time that we've actually made the knockouts of the Champions League. And if we go forward to the inbox just to see what things do look like off the back of that win, thanks to that Chaka Traore goal, it was always going to be him, wasn't it, being the former AC Milan man, but we pick up our £8.2 million for playing in that first knockout round. But obviously, with us reaching the quarterfinals now, we should be in for another payday at least as well. So this could end up being a very, very good season monetary-wise here for Volsungur, and that could be quite good timing for that, of course, as the board are looking at building a new stadium. But for the first time, we are in the Champions League quarterfinals. We need to go forward a week or so now, I think, to get to that draw and see who we are playing in our first Champions League quarterfinal. And we've gone forward about a week and a half off the back of that win in that second leg of the first knockout round. We are about to take part in the Champions League quarterfinal draw. We have played one domestic game since then, though, just making sure that we did finish our group in the League Cup with a win, and we picked up a 6-0 one there away at from Reykjavik, and we have drawn Valur Reykjavik in the semi-finals. We do look to win that competition for a 10th time. The other semi-final is going to be between Phil Keir and HK, so that could be another matchup there with HK, the team who have been nipping at our heels the most over the past few seasons of the save. But we are through to yet another Dildabakar semi-final. Hopefully, as I said, we can win that for the 10th straight season. But before we do have a look at the quarterfinal draw for the Champions League, of course, we need to update you guys on who won those other 6 ties going into these quarterfinals. Off the back of the results between Chelsea beating Dortmund and us just getting over the line there against AC Milan, Real Madrid pretty comfortably beat Ajax there 5-1. On aggregate, Bayern Munich knocked out the defending champions Manchester United 4-1 on aggregate, so that is potentially a little bit of a surprise after they got topped in their group by Arsenal. Leicester City got beaten 4-2 on aggregate by Juventus, so we certainly benefited there from topping our group, I think it is fair to say. Manchester City absolutely thumped Partizan 8-1 on aggregate. PSG didn't win by quite as much there against Benfica, but still got the job done 3-1, and Arsenal just snuck over the line against RB Leipzig 3-2 on aggregate. So those are the teams who are going to be in this draw for the quarterfinal. Because Leicester are gone, we could get any of those 7 teams, and they all look like very, very tough opposition, it is fair to say. So let's see who exactly we do get. First up in the hat is Manchester City. This would definitely be a team we would like to avoid. They get Real Madrid. That is a good tie. First up, that gets rid of 2 of the bigger teams who we could have faced there in these quarterfinals. Next up is Juventus. That, of course, is the team that knocked out Leicester City. That would be an interesting matchup. They get Chelsea. So again, it's probably a team we would have liked to avoid, albeit, as I said earlier, not too many teams here who would not be favourites against us, it is fair to say. Next out of the hat are Paris Saint-Germain. That's probably the biggest gun out of those ones that are left, though. They will get Arsenal, which means it's a rematch from the last time we were in the Champions League knockouts. The first time 2 seasons ago, we are playing Bayern Munich, albeit we are the second team out of the hat. So yet again, I think that would mean that we will get the second leg at our home ground. But of course, Bayern Munich beat us fairly comfortably a few seasons ago, the first time that we did make our way through to the Champions League knockout. So we'll have to try and get some revenge on those guys for that. But it is a team with a higher reputation than any that we have played so far in the Champions League. Still that 5-star reputation, still got Julian Nagelsmann as their manager, still got Joshua Kimmich as their captain as well, and it does look like a pretty good team. Interesting to see in their team, they do have K Lamb as a defensive midfielder. They did just recently sign this guy. This is one of the reasons I really didn't want to sell Bassero Gay, because this guy doesn't look anywhere near as good as Bassero Gay, I think, but they've spent around about the £40 million mark on him, and he just is a completely different defensive midfielder than what we would have been after here at Volsungur. Only got that 2.5-star ability, so there's at least one area we will have a bit of an advantage potentially over Bayern Munich. But you can see there just the amount of money it would cost us to buy someone anywhere near the same quality as Bassero gave. 38.5 million they spent to get him off of Porto in Portugal. So we really do have a good gem on our hands there. And Bassero Gay will certainly try and get him if he does want to move on to agree to a fee that is much larger than the 13.5 million he held out for in last year's transfer window when he first wanted to leave the club. Of course, we do also have the draw for the semi-final as well if we get past Bayern Munich, which, if we're being frank, is a little bit unlikely. But first off is PSG or Arsenal. They are going to take on Juventus or Chelsea. So it looks like we're going to have a very, very tough road to the final if we can make it that far, which, as I said, is unlikely. But if we do get past Bayern Munich, we are taking on the winner of the tie between Manchester City and Real Madrid. That, of course, is Vincent Kompany's Manchester City and Jurgen Klopp's Real Madrid, which is a little bit interesting, of course, with the big matchup coming up this weekend, but that could be our opposition there in the semi-final if we make it that far. But that will do it for today's episode, because we haven't actually made any transfers off the back of what we did in yesterday's one. But if you did enjoy that win there over AC Milan, even though it wasn't the greatest game in terms of highlights, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. And until tomorrow, where we should have both legs of that quarterfinal against Bayern Munich, as the gap between those isn't quite as big as that first knockout round. So until then, thank you very much for watching, keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.